All right, so let's get started. So let's open our VS Code. And first thing first, what we're going to do, we will install Tailwind CSS because I want to code this FAQ or these two projects very quickly. So you're gonna go to docs, and then you're gonna click on Tailwind CLI. Okay, and then you're gonna copy the first command here just by clicking here. And let's go back to our VS Code, and before we start, let's open our terminal and make sure that you're running your server. So the command is going to be Shopify theme dev, and then because I'm switching between stores here, I'm gonna pass the -- store again, flag again, and then I'm gonna give it the name of the store. Maybe you don't need to do that. So the name of my store is called sections-blocks. So let me copy that, and I'm going to paste it here. So we press enter, and in the same time I'm gonna come to this second terminal here, and before to continue, I'm gonna press E right here to open our customized theme editor. So by pressing E on the terminal, it's gonna open our development customized theme editor. There you go. And I'm gonna come back again. I'm gonna press T to preview our theme locally. All right, so once we done with that, let's go back to TailwindCSS.com, and let's copy this first command here. Okay, and we're going to install Tailwind CLI. Let's go back to VS Code and Control-Shift-V, and you're gonna run the first commands. I already done it earlier because I was already coding and recording this FAQ section, but the image quality was very blurry, so that's why, and even my mouse was not showing, so I had to redo everything. So that's not to worry. We're going to build everything from scratch, and then you will learn how things working when creating a Shopify section. All right, so once you run the first command, so let's go back to VS Code, to Tailwind, sorry, and then copy this import Tailwind CSS here. Let's copy that, and we need to create a file for that. And if you go back to VS Code, remember you cannot create other directories other than what Shopify provides. Okay, so we need to add all the assets, the images, the CSS, the JavaScript inside the assets directory. The icons could be added also in asset directory, even also in the snippets directory, which Shopify recommends. Okay, so let's come to asset here. Let's create a file. I will name it tailwind.input.css, and I'm going to paste this import we just copied there, and I'm gonna save it. And I will go back to Tailwind, and I'm gonna copy this command here to start the Tailwind CLI server, and then to watch the change in our output CSS. So let's copy that. Let's go back to VS Code, open our terminal, and we're just gonna paste this other command. And before pressing enter, let's change the path. So we don't have the source right here, we have the assets. So let's change that, and our file is called tailwind.input.css, and we want it to be output at assets. Okay, let's remove the source, and the name, let's call it tailwind.output.css and -- watch, and let's press enter, and it's gonna create this tailwind.output.css right here. As you can see, we have the tailwind right here, and we're going to be okay to continue. So then next, let's go back to Tailwind, and we need to add this tailwind inside our head HTML. So let's go and do that. I will go to layout directory and click on theme.liquid, and we have the head HTML right here, and we can come just before the end of the head, the closing head HTML. We can add double curlies like this, and then we're gonna give the name of the file, which is tailwind.output.css, and we need to add a filter. So I'm using the pipe, and then I'm gonna call asset URL. So this asset URL, if you read a little bit when I hover, it returns the CDN URL for a file in the assets directory. So it is pointing directly to the assets directory here. Okay, and we need to also add the style sheet tag like this, and this style sheet tag is creating or generating an HTML links. Okay, and there you have it. So we can now access the Tailwind. But when I look at this code here, the way that they're adding scripts, fonts, style sheets, even meta tag here is a bit different with what used to be done earlier, I believe. So it seems like they're adding everything from the snippets directory. So over here you have the style sheet. So I'm gonna copy what we have done here, cut it, and I will click on render. When you see render like this, it means it's coming from the snippets directory. Okay, so I'm gonna click here, and then over here we have like these two CSS coming from this theme, and I'm gonna paste my Tailwind just below, and I will press enter, and we are good to go. Okay, so we're not really going to worry about much of the CSS because the idea of this project is to show you how to build using HTML, CSS, and then JavaScript, and then later on to add Liquid so that you see how is it like adding blocks, other settings, how is it interacting together. Okay, so if there is some complication with the CSS battling with this base CSS, do not worry about it now. Okay, so let's close this style sheet and let's go test if we have our Tailwind. I was already doing that, so we have our hello here, so let's press enter, and if we go back to our browser, and we're going to have this hello right here. Okay, there you go. So we can start to build our FAQ section.